Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nithinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All of us as devotees or aspiring devotees or sadhakas, we all are eager, or we all should be eager to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra continuously. Because after all, at the time of death, the final exam, what comes out from the mouth and what are we remembering, that matters a lot. Ante Narayana Smriti is very important. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. 8.5 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, if you remember me at the time of death, you'll come back to me. And in that purport, Prabhupada says, how do we remember Krishna? By chanting his holy names. And how do we chant the holy name at the time of death? If you're chanting throughout our life. But we have a very wonderful experience. Chanting 16 rounds is so difficult. Yes, it becomes so difficult in general. Then how are we going to achieve that? Nirantar Harinam, how will we be able to chant all the time? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives us the formula. Trinadapi sunichena, taroriva sahishnam, amanina manudena, kirtanya sadhari. So 4 points he is mentioning. First one is Trinadapi sunichena. Become more humbler than the blade of grass. Second, Taroriva Saishna. Become more tolerant than a tree. Third, Amanina. Don't expect any respect for oneself. Manadena. Give all respect to others. So when you do these 4, then Kirtanya Sadhari is possible. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura sings in a bhajan. Sakale sammana korite shakati dehonatha jatha jatha tabeto gaibo harinama sukhe aparada behata. So very beautifully he sings, O Gurudev, please give me enough intelligence. For what do you need intelligence? Sakale sammana korite shakati deho natha jata jata. So that I understand how to respect all the living entities according to their status. Only when I start giving respect to all the living entities, all the living beings, then it is possible for me to get rid of offenses and chant the holy name nicely. So our acharyas have made it very clear. The first thing that we have to do is respect all the living entities. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his article called Vaiṣṇava Nindā, which he published in his magazine or journal called Sajjantoshani in the year 1893, he writes a very beautiful article. And there he described there are 4 categories of living entities. The first category is called as Sadharana Jiva. Sadharana Jiva means ordinary living entity. So you can put everyone in that. Sadharana Jiva. You have to tell me which category you belong to. Yes. Second, Dharmika Jiva. Second category is Dharmika Jiva. Dharmika Jiva means living beings who have accepted Vedic Dharma. They are following Vedic Dharma properly from the Shastra. So they are Dharmika Jiva. Third category is Brahmanas and Praya Vaishnavas. Brahmanas and almost Vaishnavas. Not Vaishnavas, almost Vaishnavas. It means the ones who have qualities of a Brahmana, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, And they have certain qualities which categorizes them as almost Vaishnavas, almost Praya, almost Vaishnavas. And the fourth category is Vaishnava Jiva. That is, Vaishnavas themselves, devotees. So these are the four. Sadharan Jiva, Dharmika Jiva, Brahmanas and Praya Vaishnavas, and Vaishnava Jiva. These are the four categories. And he says, we need to respect all the four categories according to their status. First is Sadharan Jiva. When it comes to living entities in general, what are we supposed to do? We have to respect them. We have to respect them. Now, respecting also means allowing them to live peacefully. Respect also means talking to them, in kind way. All these different things you can think of. How you can respect a person who you don't know, a living entity who might not be a human, and so on. Yes. Second category is Dharmika Jiva. For such people, special respect has to be given. But obvious, they deserve special respect. They're living a life of following Shastra. So Dharmika Jivas. So special respect should be given to them, no doubt. And little higher than them is Brahmanas and Praya Vaishnavas, almost Vaishnavas. So if Dharmika Jivas, if they are supposed to be given special respect, then how are we supposed to deal with this category? We have to honor them. We have to honor them. Maybe by paying obeisances or mentally honoring them or speaking words of honor and so on and so forth. So respect, special respect, honor. The fourth category, that is Vaishnava Jiva, devotees. How are we supposed to deal with them? And it describes we're supposed to serve them. That's the point that is made. We are supposed to serve them. In general, in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Uttama haya Vaishnava be nirabhimana jive sammade bejani Krishna adhishthana. In general, a Vaishnava, he sees everyone as the abode of the Lord. This Paramatma is there in everyone's heart. So he is the abode of the Lord. And therefore, he is the one who respects each and every living entity naturally. Therefore, it's very important that we do justice to respect all the four categories of living entities. Sadharan Jeev, Dharmik Jeev, Brahmana, Praya Vaishnava Jeev, and Vaishnava Jeev. Four categories. Now, if you don't give proper respect to Sadharan Jeev, Dharmika Jeev, Brahmana and Praya Vaishnava Jeev, then you will incur sinful reactions. And if you don't give proper respect to Vaishnava Jeev or Vaishnavas, you incur offenses. Now there's a difference between sins and offenses. Sinful reactions, they pertain to one's gross body and subtle body. So gross body and subtle body will be affected. That is sinful reaction. Therefore, the person will have some bodily ailments, some disorders at psychological platform, and so on and so forth. You all can understand it like that. Now, when it comes to offenses, it's deeper. It's very deep. Because offenses, they pertain to soul. So you can map the offenses to soul, because offenses, they're directly related to soul. And therefore, when we commit offenses, we go down in devotional service. Because bhakti is related to soul, offenses are related to soul. And therefore, but natural, you go down in bhakti. So now it's very important that we understand these subject matters. Because if we don't understand what is sin and what is offense, then it's very difficult. Sins are still okay. I'm not encouraging you all to commit sin. Yes, Prabhuji, I can. I'm not saying that. Sins are okay in the sense, sins can be countered in some way. Like every day morning we sing, Yani Kani Chapa Pani. You go around the Tulsi. And all the sins that we have, all that is vanquished. Now, so it's very simple to vanquish sinful reactions. But if someone is committing sin thinking tomorrow morning I'll go around Tulsi Maharani, so will Tulsi Maharani help to counter all the sins? Is it a sin now? It's no more a sin, it is offense. Jaan bujhkar, becoming over smart, I'll commit sin and then I'll counter the sin through the activities of devotional service. Oh, that's an offense. Therefore, sinful reactions unknowingly committed, easily it can be vanquished. There are so many ways to do it. Simple ways are given in Shastra. But when it comes to offenses, they act as the big hurdles in the life of Vaishnavas. Offenses don't allow the person to advance in bhakti. Those are the major hurdles in the life of a Vaishnava. And especially in all the offenses, this one offense called offense to a Vaishnava is a very, very grave offense. And that's compared to the mad elephant offense. Just imagine a mad elephant entering a place where there is one creeper that is growing. The mad elephant enters there and it uproots that, it breaks it and it throws it apart. Is it possible for the creeper to grow now? Gone. Creeper is destroyed. This is what Vaishnava Aparadha means. Vaishnava Aparadha means whatever little bhakti, our creeper is this much only. Just imagine, the elephant comes and crushes that. And done. Khatam. Skanda Puran describes Vaishnava Aparadha in detail. Skanda Puran says, Nindam kurvanti ye mudha Vaishnavanam Mahatmanam Patanti Pitribhi Sadram Maharaurava Samyate. Here it says that anyone who commits Vaishnava Aparadha, he and all his forefathers, they'll go to a hell called Maharaurava. Now, I'll not describe what is Maharaurava, it will be very horrifying. But it's dangerous hell. They have to suffer. Now, there might be a question. So, Vaishnava Aparadha, how can I understand that I'm doing Vaishnava Aparadha or no? So, very nicely, 6 categories of Vaishnava Aparadha are mentioned. You want to understand, Shastras will tell you. 6 kinds of Vaishnava Aparadha. What are the 6 kinds? Hanti, Nindanti, Vaidveshti, Vaishnavan, Nabhinandati, Krudyate, Yati, No Harsham, Darshane, Patanani, Shat. 6. What are those first? Hanti. You murder the Vaishnava, kill the Vaishnava. You think murdering Vaishnava is aparadha? So you kill a Vaishnava, that's aparadha. You can kill physically. I think you can kill verbally also. Yes. And then Nindati. Nindati means criticizing. You criticize the Vaishnava. That's an offense. Dveshti. Dveshti means hating. You hate the Vaishnava. Sometimes we don't know also, and we just look at the Vaishnava, I don't like this person, I don't know why. That's called hating. You hate the Vaishnava. Then na abhinandati. You see a Vaishnava and you don't welcome that person. You don't welcome saying, Hare Krishna Prabhu, come. You don't welcome. That's an aparadha. There's one person who did this aparadha in Srimad Bhagavatam. And he had to suffer a lot for that. He didn't welcome. Huh? Yes. Indra didn't welcome whom? Brihaspati, his guru. And because of that, Indra had to face such a great repercussion. He had to lose. He had to lose the battle with demons. So this is not welcoming. Krudyati. Becoming angry at. So you become angry at a Vaishnava, but obvious that's an offense. And finally, Yati no harsham darshane. So you see a Vaishnava walking on the road, or you see in the program or whatever, and looking at him, you might externally smile. Kitna acha lag raha aapse milke, kitna time ho gaya milke and all that. But internally, there is no harsha, there is no happiness. This is called as Yati no harsham darshane. Upon seeing a Vaishnava, you don't feel happy from within. Hota hai kya aise? You see a Vaishnava, aa gaya phir se. And then externally, Hare Krishna, sab theek hai na? Bahut acha laga aapko dekh ke. So these are the 6. One is killing a Vaishnava. Second is criticizing a Vaishnava. Third, hating a Vaishnava. Fourth, not welcoming a Vaishnava. Fifth, becoming angry at a Vaishnava. And sixth, not attaining delight or happiness upon seeing a Vaishnava. You see, killing, hating, not welcoming, becoming angry and not becoming happy looking at a Vaishnava. All this is still at a gross platform, and when the Vaishnava is there in front, you can do that. But one entity or one element or one type, that is Nindati, that's criticizing a Vaishnava, can be done even in the absence of the Vaishnava. Yes. Just come together with others and then you start criticizing. So back of the Vaishnava, you're speaking something which is not correct. That's an offense. So let's dive deep into this topic today. Vaiṣṇava Nindā, criticism of a Vaishnava. Lots to discuss on this. Let's see how much we can discuss today. Criticizing a Vaishnava. And all this discussion is directly from the article by Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. And he himself named it as Vaiṣṇava Nindā. Srimad Bhagavatam says, please repeat. Nindam Bhagavatah Shrinvams Tatparasya Janasya Va Tato Napaitiha Sopi Yati Adha Sukritakchutah. So here it is said that anyone who fails to leave immediately from a particular place, that person will fall down. Which place? That place where Lord is criticized and where Vaishnavas are criticized. So if you say the criticism of Vaishnavas and devotees and the Lord is going on, and you still remain at that place, hearing all that, you fall. You can do certain things. One is, you try to defeat the person who is criticizing Vaishnava and prove the authenticity or the purity of the Vaishnava. That can be done. You cannot do that. Second, you kill the other person and you kill yourself. You cannot just kill the other person and run away. You kill the other person, you kill yourself. Or the most simplest thing is leave the place. Which one you all want to do? Second one? Either you defeat the person, or you kill the person and kill yourself, or you leave the place. These are three options that we have. Bhagavatam says if you remain at the same place, then it's a problem. So this is how Bhagavatam is telling us how grave it is to participate in the criticism of a Vaishnava, or when it comes to Lord, I don't think I have to speak more on that. Yes. Now to understand these two words, Vaiṣṇava Nindā, we need to understand first who is a Vaishnava. Then we'll understand what is Ninda. Because at times when devotees come to us to speak about some other devotee who is creating some ruckus, then the devotees come and say, "Rohi, मुझे तो डर लग रहा है कि मैं वैष्णव अपराध ना कर दूं, लेकिन मैं कैसे बताऊं अभी इसके बारे में?" You have come to tell. Why so much of drama? Tell. Yes. No, but that feeling will be there in the heart. शायद ये वैष्णव अपराध ना हो जाए. Therefore, we need to understand clearly that if you're speaking about someone, is that in the category of aparad or no? Is it ninda or no? That has to be understood. But before that, are we speaking about a Vaishnava or no? Or are we ourselves Vaishnava or no? That has to be understood. Yes. And our acharyas are so wonderful, so very wonderful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a genius. Itna clarity, so much of clarity about ourselves, about the process, about everything that is needed to go back home, back to Godhead, is given by these acharyas. And very wonderfully summarized and also described by our acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Now when you hear all this, you'll find all this in Prabhupada's books in different places. So there are three categories of Vaishnavas. Kanistha, Madhyam, Uttama. Three categories of Vaishnavas. And Srimad Bhagavatam says, please repeat. Archayam eva haraye Pujam yaha shraddhaye hate Natad bhakteshu chanyeshu Sabhaktaha prakritasmataha. So here it is said, this person, so if you call it as first class, second class, third class, so we're talking about third class. So the lowest one, Kanistha adhikari, Kanistha Vaishnava. So he is very busy with what? Worshipping the deity. So in this, by the way, he's worshipping the deity with faith, love and devotion. This is how he's worshipping the deity. So he's just concerned with worshipping the deity. He is not very keen about honoring the Vaishnavas. He's not keen about that. But it also does not mean that he'll offend Vaishnavas. That has to be also clear. If he has faith on the Lord, he's worshipping the Lord, so he'll not offend Vaishnavas as such. So Kanistha adhikari is the one that he is busy worshipping the deity, but not very keen about giving importance to Vaishnavas. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Shuddha Vaishnava nahe kintu Vaishnavera praya. So Lord is saying, they are not pure Vaishnavas, they are praya Vaishnavas, almost Vaishnavas. So not categorized as Vaishnavas. It means this category, who don't have much scriptural understanding. Even more details to this is, these people, praya Vaishnavas, they obtain faith. How do they get this faith to worship the deity? They get this faith through tradition, not through Shastra. There's something called Lokik Shraddha and Shastrik Shraddha. Many times people say, I'm doing this because my parents have told me. That's called as Shraddha, not scriptural, but it is a sort of Shraddha, it's sort of faith through tradition. What has been told, so I'm doing it. Shastrik Shraddha means what? You study Shastra. You have faith on Shastra. You understand that Shastra is ultimate, Pramana. You understand what is Sambandha, Abhidheya, Prayojan. And you mold your life like that to attain the ultimate goal. That's called a Shastriya Shraddha. Just because someone told, just because I heard, just because it's coming in some tradition, I do it, that's called a Laukik Shraddha, or faith obtained through tradition. Now it's very nice to note, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura writes, in faith in Shastra, respect for Vaishnavas is generated on account of deep faith in scriptural statements and on authority of those statements. So the ones who have Shastriya Shraddha, for them it is very easy, to offer respect to the Vaishnavas. Why? Because they have strong faith on scripture. The scripture is saying that I should respect Vaishnavas, I will do. Are you understanding this point? Therefore, for them it's very easy to offer respect. It is described that as soon as such Shastriya Shraddha awakens in a person, such a person comes to the category of Madhyama adhikari. He comes to the category of Madhyama adhikari. Now, few more points that we can notice. So, Kanistha Vaishnava is almost a Vaishnava, Praya Vaishnava. But as soon as he comes in touch with a genuine, intense devotee, he also becomes a genuine Vaishnava. Almost Vaishnava tha wo, lekin abhi Vaishnava ban jayega, because he came in touch with a genuine Vaishnava. So this is about Kanistha adhikari. I hope this is clear. Next category is Madhyama adhikari, Madhyama Vaishnava. So Madhyama Vaishnava is elevated personality. He's a Vaishnava. The word Vaishnava itself is given to him. So very nicely it is described. How does he behave? Please repeat. Ishvare tat adhineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri kripa peksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. So Kanistha adhikari Vaishnava, he just sees the Lord and he worships the Lord with love and devotion, faith. But Madhyama adhikari, he sees four categories of personalities. He sees Ishvara, he sees Krishna. He understands, he's Lord. Then he sees devotees. Okay, devotees, they are also important. And then he sees innocent people. And then he sees the ones who are envious of the Lord and the devotees. And they are so expert. They deal with all the four entities accordingly. So towards the Lord, they have preeti, love. Towards the devotees, they have friendship. So therefore, it's very important to note that we cannot have love for devotees. We can have a friendly relation with devotees. Friendly relation with having affection for devotees. Love is only for Krishna, not for anyone else, including devotees. So love towards Krishna, affection towards devotees, and towards those who are innocent. They're not yet devotees. They're not become devotees. Towards them, if they're innocent, what is the mood of a Madhyama adhikari Vaishnava? He feels merciful, compassionate. Isko bhi bhakti dena chahiye. Then he preaches to them. He brings them into the fold of bhakti. And what about envious people? How does he deal with envious people? He ignores the envious people. Are, Vaishnava is supposed to be merciful. How are you ignoring? And Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says, Madhyama adhikari is ignoring that envious person is actually mercy. Because if he is not ignored, then if he is taken more closer to the crowd of, or the group of Vaishnavas, he'll commit more offense. So better ignore and keeping away, there is actually mercy towards him. So in this way, the Madhyama Vaishnava, he is the one who sees 4 categories: Lord, devotees, innocent, envious. Now Kanistha adhikari Vaishnava. So he is the one who is just concerned with the deities, not very much concerned with devotees. But Madhyama adhikari is the one who is concerned with devotees also. So who will do Vaishnava Seva? Madhyama adhikari will do Vaishnava Seva. So this is the point that all of us can note. So it is described that Kanistha Vaishnavas, since they don't engage in the Vaishnava Seva, they are called as almost Vaishnavas. And here, the Madhyama adhikaris, they serve Vaishnavas. They are called as Vaishnavas. Madhyama adhikaris are called as Vaishnavas. Now hear about Uttama adhikari, Vaishnava. I don't think I have to speak about it. You can just analyze yourself, you'll get to know who is Uttama adhikari. Yes. Uttama Vaishnava. Please repeat. Sarvabhuteshu ya pashyed Bhagavat bhavamatmanah Bhutani bhagavatyatmani Esha bhagavatottamaha. Very nice. Here it is said, this person, Uttama adhikari Vaishnava, he sees the Lord and he sees everyone else as Vaishnava. That's the mood. He sees that Lord is there in everyone. So when Lord is there in everyone and everyone is there in the shelter of the Lord, so in that sense they can be called as Vaishnavas. Everyone is under the shelter of Vishnu and therefore they are Vaishnavas. So that is the vision of a Uttama adhikari. So for a Uttama adhikari, specifically finding out who is a Vaishnava and do Vaishnava Seva, that is not meant for him. He sees everyone. He sees everyone as engaged in service of the Lord. And sometimes this category of people sees, oh, everyone is better than me. They all are engaged in service of the Lord nicely. Therefore, Uttama adhikaris are the ones who will not get into preaching. Yes. Because for them, they see everyone as Vaishnava, whom they will preach to. You can preach to those who are not Vaishnavas. But Uttama adhikari sees everyone as Vaishnava. So whom they will preach to. Therefore, these are the 3 categories of Vaishnavas. First is Kanistha Vaishnava. Second, Madhyama. And third is Uttama. There is one important point that is made by Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura. It is thus concluded that those on the Kanistha platform, so we discussed that the Kanistha adhikaris, they are the ones who have faith which is acquired from tradition, not scriptures. But with time, as they come in touch with devotees, they also start getting scriptural faith, Shastriya Shraddha. So those personalities who have got Shastriya Shraddha, but not yet developed other qualities of a Madhyama adhikari, they are called as actual Kanistha adhikari Vaishnava. Or in general, they can be called as Vaishnava. And the ones who have not developed scriptural Shraddha, they are called as Praya Vaishnava, almost Vaishnava. Is this clear? In Kanistha adhikari itself, now 2 things we are telling. One is that personality who has not developed scriptural faith, scriptural Shraddha, or Shastriya Shraddha. He has got Shraddha or faith through tradition. He is called as almost a Vaishnava, Praya Vaishnava. And in future, we will also use a term called reflection of a Vaishnava. He will be also called as reflection of a Vaishnava. Yes. And the ones who have developed faith in Shastra, but not yet developed those qualities of a Madhyama adhikari, they are called as Kanistha adhikari Vaishnava, or in general they can be called as Vaishnava. And Madhyama adhikari Vaishnava is called as a better Vaishnava. And the Uttama adhikari Vaishnava is called as best Vaishnava. So now we have three categories: Vaishnava, better Vaishnava, best Vaishnava. Now, once what happened is, there were devotees from Kulina Gram. They came to talk to Mahaprabhu. For your information, Kulina Gram devotees, they were all elevated souls. Everyone in Kulina Gram would chant Hare Krishna. See, after all, Mahaprabhu went there. So you can imagine, everyone started chanting Hare Krishna. But Kulina Gram devotees, they had a question to Mahaprabhu. They asked, Mahaprabhu, please tell us who is a Vaishnava. They wanted to know who is a Vaishnava. And 3 times this question was asked. And 3 times, different answers were given by Mahaprabhu. So first time he spoke about who is a Vaishnava. Second time Mahaprabhu gave the definition of a better Vaishnava. Third time Mahaprabhu gave the definition of a best Vaishnava. So Kanistha adhikari, Madhyama adhikari, Uttama adhikari. So Mahaprabhu said to all the Kulina Gramvasis, and through them to all of us, who is a Vaishnava? And Mahaprabhu said, Ataiva jara mukhe eka Krishna nam seito Vaishnavatara karaha samman. So Mahaprabhu said, anyone, from anyone's mouth once, if the holy name comes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that person is a Vaishnava. And that person should be given samman of a Vaishnava. Hold on, don't conclude anything. I'll come back to this point again. Then he said, who is a better Vaishnava? Krishna nama nirantara jahara vadane se Vaishnava bhaja tahara charane. So here it is said that who is a better Vaishnava? Krishna nama nirantara jahara vadane. So anyone who is chanting the holy names of the Lord continuously, nirantar, that person is called as Madhyama Vaishnava. अरे तो उत्तम कौन है फिर? Who is Uttama Vaishnava? And Mahaprabhu says, Jahara darshane mukhe aise Krishna naam tahare janiha tumi Vaishnava pradhan. So who is Vaishnava pradhan? Jahara darshane. Just by whose darshan, when I start chanting Hare Krishna, that person is Vaishnava pradhan, Uttam Vaishnava. Jinka darshan karke chanting start ho jaye. Yes. When you start chanting the holy names, that person is a Uttam Vaishnava. Okay, now, one thing that has to be understood is, what is this chanting of holy name that Mahaprabhu is talking about? So any Tom, Dick and Harry on the street when he chants Hare Krishna, so is that spoken here? So we are supposed to fall at his feet saying he's a Vaishnava? Who is he? So this is something that we need to understand very clearly. On Kanistha platform, those who have been shown to be almost Vaishnavas, reflection of Vaishnavas. So reflections of Vaishnavas utter only a reflection of the holy name. They do not actually utter holy name. So there are almost Vaishnavas, reflections of Vaishnavas, they utter reflection of holy name. It's called as नाम आभास. और उनको लगता है कि they are chanting. आप लोगों को लगता है कि नहीं आप लोग chant कर रहे हैं? मुझे भी लगता है that I'm chanting. So reflections of Vaishnavas, they feel that they're chanting, but actually it's a reflection of the holy name that they're chanting. I'll come back to this point again. He who can utter the pure holy name once, he is called as Vaishnava. And those who utter pure holy name continuously, he is called as better Vaishnava. And the one, just by taking his darshan, when one's mouth starts uttering the holy name, he is called as best Vaishnava. Okay, now let's go a little more deeper. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura, he writes in another article called Vaishnava Seva. In that article, he talks about what is the reflection of the holy name and holy name. For our understanding, we'll call it as reflection of holy name and pure holy name. Okay. And with time, we'll call it as holy name and reflection. Okay. So now, what is reflection of holy name? It's understood. Very nicely it is described. As long as there are offenses to the holy name, as long as the person is committing nam aparad, one does not actually chant holy name. He does not actually chant pure holy name. If you are committing nam aparad, then we cannot say that we are chanting pure holy name. We are chanting what? Reflection of holy name. But one good thing about reflection of the holy name is, just by chanting the reflections of the holy names, all sinful reactions are destroyed. And the person continues. So all sinful reactions are destroyed. Now when the sinful reactions are destroyed, the mind becomes spotless, peaceful, satisfied. And when the mind is spotless, now there is no question to commit offenses. Therefore, now in this situation, when there are no opportunities to commit offenses, now the person starts chanting the holy name without offenses. Now that is called as actual chanting of the holy name. Uske pehle jo bhi kar rahe, that is just reflection of the holy name, chanting of reflections of the holy name. Now it is mentioned here that even once, occasionally, if someone has chanted pure holy name, he is a Vaishnava. So who is a Vaishnava? The one who has chanted occasionally, even once if he has chanted pure holy name, that person is called as a Vaishnava. And the person who uninterruptedly chants offenselessly, he is a better Vaishnava. And when the pleasure potency of the Lord is manifested, he is the best Vaishnava. Now that means when he is empowered, when he realizes the higher aspects of Krishna consciousness, about his own Swarupa, whatever, at the higher levels, he is called as Uttama Vaishnava. See, when it comes to holy name, reflection of holy name, let's try to understand a little bit more. See, when the person is committing offenses still, basically is connected to various pursuits of external desires. He has material desires still. He's still covered by jnana, karma, yoga, etc. So that person, when he chants, what comes out of his mouth is only reflection of the holy name. This has to be very clear. But that person is completely surrendered onto the lotus feet of Krishna by practicing the 6 angas of Sharanagati. So that person, with that pure surrender, when he chants, then the holy name that comes from his mouth is called as pure holy name. So hope this point is clear. So aparad yukta and aparad vihina. So one which has aparad and one which does not have aparad. Here there is not much surrender, but here there is complete surrender. So here this is called as pure holy name. And here it is described that though one can attain results like up to liberation by chanting reflections of the holy name, but that person cannot be called as a Vaishnava, because Vaishnava is the one who chants the holy name actually. When he chants pure holy name, he is called as Vaishnava. So now here comes the question, so our identity kya hai? What is our identity? We have to ask this question to ourselves. Am I a reflection of Vaishnava or am I Vaishnava? What do you think? Reflection? Sadharan Jeev. Sadharan Jeev. Therefore you will see senior devotees, they don't call themselves as devotee. What do they call themselves as? Practicing devotee. Yes. Practicing devotee. Sadhaka. They call themselves as Sadhaka, not Bhakta. Because Bhakta is a very big title. Vaishnava is a very big title. See, therefore, when you read these articles given by these acharyas, then we understand. Oh, I'm a sadhak. I cannot call myself as a bhakta anymore. And it's a fact also. Yes. So if we still have material desires and still you're not surrendered to Krishna, still we are committing offenses to the holy name, we cannot call ourselves as Vaishnava. But yes, we are sadhaka. And we have hope that one day we'll become Vaishnava. Therefore, it's a very wonderful thing, that is mentioned. And while the holy name arises, when I say holy name arises, means which holy name? Pure holy name. Therefore, whenever Shastra say chanting one holy name, as soon as it said one holy name, what it is talking about? Pure holy name, one pure holy name. देखो many times devotees say, मैं इतना माला पे माला कर रहा हूँ, कुछ हो क्यों नहीं रहा है? And here it is at one holy name. Looks like it is exaggeration. You thinking it to be an exaggeration is an offense. Yes. And therefore what chanting we are doing is a reflection of the holy name with offenses. And therefore we're not chanting pure holy names. So one pure holy name has the power, to do what? To destroy all the prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. All the karmic reaction that is there in the stock, or even that which is there in the present life. One holy name can destroy all the prarabdha and aprarabdha karma. Is that clear to everyone? Yes. So in this way, we understand what is a reflection of the holy name and what is holy name. Therefore, each one of us should strive to chant offenselessly. The 10 offenses to the holy name. And the 11th one is being inattentive. And that inattentiveness is the mother who gives birth to all the other 10 babies called Namaparada. Therefore, it's very important that we devotees understand these offenses in detail and try to avoid those very properly. So having understood this, now we have understood who is a Vaishnava. Yes. I have to make this statement. Very important. See, when we say Vaishnava, we're talking about Kanistha Vaishnava. Then better Vaishnava is Madhyama Vaishnava. And Vaishnava Pradhan is Uttama Vaishnava. In general, when we say Vaishnava, we can address all the three. So one point we have to remember very carefully is, as soon as we say he is a Vaishnava, he will never do adharma. He will never do any sinful activities. And along with that, he will also not have any sinful desire. See, not doing sinful activities is understood. But having sinful desire, this is something that we need to digest now. So Vaishnava is the one who does not have sinful desire also. Then he can be called as Vaishnava. Yes. So sometimes, when a sadhaka is found stealing, when he is found dealing with the opposite gender in a very, very irresponsible way, in a lusty way. So we need to understand clearly, bhai sadhak hai wo, Vaishnava nahi hai. Yes, he's not a Vaishnava. So hold on to this point. Now we'll come back to this point again, this case study. Now if someone is stealing, someone is misbehaving, which is sinful, we'll come back to this case study now, in some time. Now, therefore, one point has to be very clear. When we say Vaishnava, Vaishnava is naturally free from all defects. Naturally free from all defects. Why is naturally free from all defects? When he's chanting pure holy name, even once, by Lord's mercy, all the wonderful qualities will descend in him. There is no question of defect. Because he is the one who has given up everything. He has given up Varnashrama, he has given up everything just to surrender on to Krishna and serve Krishna. Then where is the question of any defect in him? That's the point that is mentioned by our Acharya here. And very nice point, he says in Bengali, Edina haite eka Krishna naam jivahaya udaya hoye sei dina haite ara jivera pape ruchi thake na. So he's saying that when someone chants the holy name, pure holy name even once, what happens, He loses all the taste for sinful activities. Because now if we at all had any doubt today, that शायद जो सदियों से मैं जो जप करते आ रहा हूँ, शायद एक बार तो शुद्ध नाम लिया होगा मैंने, एक बार तो लिया होगा. I think this clarifies clearly. If we have chanted Shuddha Nama even once, there is no desire, there will be no taste for doing any sinful activity. There will be no taste for doing any sinful activity. Yes. And at the same time, he will not have any taste for doing any pious activity also. He is not interested in punya, he is interested in bhakti. So that will be very clear. But there are people who are evil. Evil people. And who are those evil people? After I describe this, you can tell me who are they. Yes. So there are evil people who look at a Vaishnava and they find defects in them. And there are also 4 types of defects. These evil people are able to find 4 types of defects. First defect is, they talk about a Vaishnava and they say, पता है भक्ति में आने से पहले क्या था? So now the person is rendering pure devotional service, and the discussion that is taking place between these evil people is bhakti. Before he came to pure devotional service, what was he doing? अरे ये तो इसने ऐसे किया, इसने वैसे किया, अरे बहुत पाप करके आया ये, अभी बड़ा बनता है शुद्ध भक्त. So this is called criticism number 1. That when you speak about a Vaishnava, now I don't think I have to repeat again and again when I say the word Vaishnava, whom am I talking about? Yes, we're talking about a Vaishnava who has no sinful desires, and he has at least once uttered pure holy name. No taste for sinful activity. I think this point is very clear. So, Vaishnava, after he has become a Vaishnava, then if someone speaks about his past, what was he? What was he doing? पता है गुंडा था पहले, पता है इसने ये ऐसे ऐसे किया, चोरी किया उसने, ये किया उसने, वो किया. And as soon as these things come, as soon as this discussion happens, immediately thing will come. तो ये कैसा वैष्णव है फिर? And immediately that is criticism number 1 equal to Vaishnava Aparadha. Now let's see what's criticism number 2. Now when the person is rendering devotional service or pure devotional service, Abhi, see, the situation is, he is not fully pure now, but he is rendering pure devotional service. During that phase, there will be some defects. Like for example, I am deceased, I go to a doctor gives me medicine. Now I am taking medicine. Doctor tells me, this is a dose for 4 days, make sure you complete the dose properly. So I am taking medicine. Day 1 I took medicine, and my disease went little down. Day 2, little more down. Day 3, little more down. And day 4, little more down. Now when I'm taking medicine and someone comes and says, he's deceased, is the right thing to say? I'll tell you another example, then it will be more helpful. Say I go and fall into a ditch. Yeah, yesterday it rained so heavily. There are so many potholes and I fall into that. I get dirty. Now I'm taking bath. And then you and others, they're coming together and saying, he's a dirty fellow. Look at him. So now a person who is dirty and he's taking bath, is it right to call that person as dirty? Because he's taking bath, already process began. Now when he comes out of the bathroom, he'll be pure. Yes, externally obviously. He'll be pure. Yes. Now when he's taking medicine, one day he'll be fully cured. Isn't it? So now that gap that is there, when he was not a Vaishnava and he became a Vaishnava, so that small gap that is there, uska discussion jab hota hai, that is criticism category 2 equal to Vaishnava Aparadha. Here very nicely, Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura quotes 2 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita and he says this is nonsensical discussion. Why this nonsensical discussion? And he says, because Krishna says, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananya bhag sadureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kauntaya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. 9th chapter, shloka 30-31. So here Krishna is saying, now I think we all can resonate with the shloka now. So Krishna is saying that even if there is some defect in a Vaishnava, now I think the word Vaishnava makes very clear. Even if there's a defect in Vaishnava, say he commits something, some wrong act, whatever, even if there's a defect in a Vaishnava, yes, still he should be considered as a Vaishnava. Why? Because he is rendering pure devotional service. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati. Very soon, Shipram, he'll be completely purified. So now just imagine, the person is dirty, he's entering the bathroom and he's taking bath, and that you say he's dirty and he comes out fully pure, then who will be held as an offensive person? The person who's pointing. He'll be held as an offensive person because he committed an offense. He's become fully pure. Why are you pointing now? So this is the second category of defect which the evil people find out. One is before he became a Vaishnava. Much before. Then he started practicing and then he became pure Vaishnava. So that gap. And then the next category now. The next category is, he is a spotlessly pure Vaishnava. But by the will of the providence, sometimes some defect might be seen in him. Give me some example from Shastra. By the will of the providence, the person did something and that was not proper. Parikshit Maharaj. Abhi dekhiye, Parikshit Maharaj, who has taken darshan of Krishna in the womb. How great Vaishnava he is. But then, and by the way, it was the will of providence only. Because 7 days Parikshit Maharaj, he fasted from water, from food. Even he didn't sleep. Same personality. 7 days before, he was in the forest. And so he feels thirsty. And the thirst was so very difficult to control that he became angry and then he puts a snake around the body of a sadhu and he gets cursed by Shringi that you have done this to my father, 7 days you will die. How is it possible that the person who is able to fast for 7 days is not able to bear thirst for a few hours? How is this possible? And the answer is, very clearly Acharyas say, this was by the will of the providence. Any other example? Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj also. See, Bharat Maharaj was in stage of bhava, high level. He was doing bhava bhakti. So he getting attached to a deer. No, there's something very difficult to understand. At least I couldn't understand. How is this possible? Now, then properly reading Prabhupada's purports and understanding, then it was clear. It was by the will of the providence that Bharat Maharaj fell from his position. But that does not mean that he remained a fallen soul for a long time. He proved for all of us that what happens, if you get attached. He became a deer, he became Jada Bharat and he went back home back to Godhead. Yes. So by the will of the providence. Now, Uttama adhikari, a person who is chanting pure name or just by looking at whom who chants, others chant pure holy name, when there is some defect in that person and that is discussed, then that is number 3 criticism. Criticism number 3 equal to Vaishnava Aparadha. This third category. And very nicely Srimad Bhagavatam says, please repeat. Svapadamulam bhajata priyasya Tyaktanya bhavasya hari pareshah Vikarmaya chotpatitam kathanchet Dhunoti sarvam hridi sannivishtah. Here it is described that person who is worshipping the Lord all the time and who is very dear to the Lord, who has given up inclination to anything and everything of this world. For such a person, Lord, He completely removes whatever defects are there in him because of whatever sinful activities which have occurred somehow the other way. Now it's a very important thing to note. So 3 categories of criticism we have discussed. First one, before a person started doing bhakti. Second one, when he started practicing bhakti and became pure Vaishnava, in between that. I don't think I should say pure Vaishnava. I should say he started doing bhakti and he became Vaishnava. Sadhaka to Vaishnava. In that gap, what he did, uske baare mein baat karna, that's criticism. And after he becomes a Vaishnava, and by the will of the providence, some things takes place in his life. When that is pointed, then it's a problem. And 4th category of criticism is false accusation. You don't know, but then you're accusing a Vaishnava, saying, isne ye kiya. Many times this happens also in the circle of sadhakas, when sadhakas come together. Pata hai, Prabhuji ne aise kiya. And the other, aise kiya? Huh? Ye kaise ho gaya? Prabhuji aise kar sakte hain? Now see, if you just ask a cross question, are you sure that you are sure that Prabhuji ne aise kiya? Nahi, maine suna. Then you go to that person, jisse suna. Kahan se suna? Are you sure you saw Prabhuji doing it? Nahi, maine unse suna. And then unse suna. And finally you understand that Prabhuji has not done what you're thinking. Many times this happens, when at least when I am involved in solving problems between some sadhakas, then this is how I ask them questions, and then finally it boils down that actually nothing has happened. Actually nothing has happened. Many times misunderstanding about the other person. And especially when you accuse someone of doing something which they have not done, just imagine you accuse someone of stealing. He is not a thief, and you say that he is a thief. Do you think you will be spared for this? It's such a big offense. So false accusation on a Vaishnava. So these are the 4 categories. These are the 4 categories of criticism. So there is a question that someone might ask: is it appropriate to discuss defects other than these 4? You say some intelligent person, he comes and says, Prabhuji, we heard the 4 categories of defects that you said, and looks like we're not supposed to discuss this. But can we discuss defects other than these 4? So Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura says, a Vaishnava cannot have any defect other than these 4. Not possible. So there is no question of any discussion than these 4. And it's very clear that you're supposed to avoid these 4. So where is the question of any criticism that prevails? But at times, there are some discussions which might be seemingly criticism, but it cannot be counted as criticism, and hence it's not Vaisṇava Aparadha. You want to hear about that category also? Very important to note. This will help us to understand what is Vaisṇava Aparadha and what is not. See, all of us, we keep discussing about personalities like Jagai and Madhai. कितने बार वो पास टाइम बोलते, लोग ड्रामा भी करते हैं उस पे. You know Jagai and Madhai, how great devotees they became? Everyone knows? Yes. They became one of the close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we Vaishnavas, we come together, we discuss. Jagai and Madhai एकदम पी के टून रहते थे, हमेशा झूमते रहते थे. They did this sin, that sin. They hit Nityananda Prabhu, and the blood was flowing like this. Jagai and Madhai, they took birth in Brahmana family, but they were fallen. And Baba, they became pure devotees. At least, when I used to speak the pastime, initially to theek tha. Initially as a new devotee I used to speak, but with time, when I started understanding some crucial aspects from the Shastra, then when I used to speak about Jagai Madhai, I used to feel a little pain in the heart. And then at the end, I used to glorify them. Then that's how I started describing the pastime. After they became devotees, what happened? Then I started glorifying that pastimes also. Because normally we end at this. They did this, and then Lord delivered them. But after that, what happened? Some devotees describe they built a ghat and then everyone was taking bath there, and it was all that is okay. There are more descriptions to it. That how Jagai and Madhai, they attained Krishna Prem and they're rolling on the ground. When they would hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they became one of the close associates who were participating in the nocturnal kirtans in Shiva Sangam. Now when we come together and discuss about Jagai and Madhai, is that okay? Even Valmiki for that matter. Yes. He was a hunter before, उसने ऐसे किया, उसने वैसे किया. ठीक है, लिख दिया रामायण, but पहले ऐसे था. Yes. Is it okay to discuss like this? That too, a person sitting on Vyasasana, like hundreds of people are sitting, and then everyone together are finding a defect in the Vaishnava. And what is the defect? Defect number 1. Before he started practicing bhakti, what happened? Is it proper? Can this be called as Vaisṇava Aparadha? So here comes the discussion that if the discussion has got a good purpose in it, then it's not Vaisṇava Aparadha. And what is that good purpose? 3 categories of good purpose, which Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura lists down. I told you, our Acharya is technical. Always say point 1, point 2, point 3. मतलब उसके अलावा और कोई point बचेगा ही नहीं life में. Therefore, more you understand about these acharyas, more you'll be in love with them. More you would want to serve them. More you would feel connected with them. And this is what every sadhaka wants in life. A strong connection with acharyas. And here he says, first thing is, when we are having a discussion about the defects of a Vaishnava, the 4 defects. Can we have all the 4 defects? Because false accusation will consider nahi kar sakte. It's only 3 defects. If we're discussing about 3 defects of a Vaishnava, and if that aims at bringing about auspiciousness, whose auspiciousness? That Vaishnava's auspiciousness. Then there is not a problem. It's not criticism. So you're discussing. You come in a group and then you discuss about the defect for the benefit of that Vaishnava, to help that Vaishnava. Then it's not criticism, hence it's not Vaishnava Aparadha. Second category. So you come together and discuss about the defect of one Vaishnava for the auspiciousness of the entire world, for the community of Vaishnavas. Auspiciousness of the community of Vaishnavas. Then it's not a offense. Like when we discuss the pastime of Jaga and Madhya. So there, what do we learn? We learn a lot of different things. We learn about how we are not supposed to commit Vaishnava Aparadha. We learn about how sinful activities are so grave. We also learn about how Mahaprabhu is very possessive about his devotees. We also learn about how Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful. And we also learn about the power of the mercy of Krishna consciousness, the mercy of the Lord, that even such people became devotees. When devotees hear, my God, looks like I also have hope. I'm a combined incarnation of Jagai Madhya. Looks like I also have hope. And devotees feel very enthusiastic to practice bhakti. So now we have discussed the defect of some great Vaishnavas of their past. And by that, the community of Vaishnavas are getting enthusiastic to practice bhakti. So this is not an aparadha. Third category is, by coming together and discussing about a defect of another person, another Vaishnava, if that brings auspiciousness in your life, then even that is not considered as an aparadha. So you're troubled by someone and you're going and telling that to the authority, that usne aise aise kiya, usne aise aise kiya. This is what is happening. Prabhuji, this is what is happening. So now when the mood is that please help me, so at that time, that's not an offense. Is that clear? Therefore, when we go to our superiors and when we tell about some devotee who is creating some ruckus in the community of devotees, then we have to understand very clearly, it's not aparadh when you describe what he is doing. Therefore, see, when we, devotees in the community, if we don't understand all this, then how will we sort out various different problems in the community? Therefore, now comes the question. So, if a person in the devotee community, if he is stealing, अभी हमें पता नहीं अभी वो प्योर वैष्णव है नहीं है, ना what is he? Yes. Sometimes the person can say, by the will of the providence I did this. वो लड़की को क्यों छेड़ा तूने? By the will of the providence. Why did you steal money from the temple? Will of the providence. Whatever it is. So when I'm going and telling this to my superior, yes, it's not Vaishnava Aparadha. This is one. And secondly, you have to understand who is a Vaishnava. And I think today we have discussed elaborately. That person will not have sinful desires. He'll not exhibit any taste for sinful activities. He is the one who chants, having scriptural faith. And at least once, he might have chanted pure holy name. तो अगर sinful desire ही नहीं है तो कैसे he'll do all the nonsensical activities, troubling Vaishnavas? How is it possible? Therefore, these are the different things. Now, therefore, when someone goes to a spiritual master and he says, Guru Maharaj, or you go to your counselor and say, Prabhuji, so whom should I associate with? I'm thinking that I should associate with this devotee. And then the counselor or the spiritual master, whoever it is, superior, they tell, no, this devotee has these problems with him. If you associate with him, you'll also become like him. So you associate with that devotee. That devotee is good. So now when the person who is speaking like this, he is not proper, he is proper. Why is he speaking that? For the auspiciousness of the person who is hearing. For that person. So this is not Vaishnava Aparadha. Sometimes neophyte sadhakas, they hear their superior saying, don't associate with him. He is not a proper Vaishnava. Prabhuji Vaishnava Aparadha kar rahe, aise kaise bol diye wo? Therefore, you should have clear understanding of what is what. What is Vaishnava Aparadha and what is not.
I hope now this is pretty much clear now. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur concludes. He says, please do honor saintly Vaishnavas and abandon the association of unsaintly people. And therefore, all of us, if we want to become Vaishnav, we are sadhakas still. If you want to become a Vaishnav, what's the first thing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? If you want to become Vaishnav, you should asat sang tyag ei Vaishnavachar. Give up the association of unsaintly people. That is Vaishnavachar. Naturally, when you associate with saintly people, you will surely chant the holy names. You will become a nice devotee. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam also makes it very clear. Tato dussangam utsrijya satsu sajjate buddhiman santa evasya chandanti mano vyasanangam uktibihi. Here it is said, throwing away all bad association. An intelligent person should be attached to saintly devotees. By their words, by the association of saintly devotees, what happens? The excessive attachment that we have in our mind, all that will be cut off. See, after all, what we want to do in life, we want to advance in bhakti, isn't it? That's the only goal that we have. We want to advance in Krishna consciousness. Now, when I want to advance in Krishna consciousness, I should associate with someone who's advanced. At least better than me. Normally, you will see the mind will move or go towards that person who is lower than us in their advancement. And he'll crack some nonsensical jokes, he'll speak some prajalpa and this and that. And I've seen sometimes those people who are not very keen about advancing in bhakti, they come into a group then. And the gossip starts and this and that, and then they'll speak all this. Pata hai? Prabhuji ka past. Are bhai, already you don't have any taste to advance in bhakti. In that you discuss all this. Kya hoga? Bhakti ke bahar jayega aur kya? At least I have observed this in the community of sadhakas. Such people who are not intense themselves and associating with those who are ekdam slackened in bhakti. So what happens is with time, Hare Krishna. Next life. I'll begin next life. Neha Bikramanashasti. I'll begin next life. So this is the unfortunate situation. But there is one caution which Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving. The caution is, don't think that even if we serve an unsaintly person, by considering him to be a saint, we'll attain the same result as serving a saint. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है. You need to understand if he's saintly or not. You need to understand. But respectfully, if the person is in the Vaishnava attire, and if he does not have the qualities of a Vaishnava, no problem. We'll not associate. We'll keep safe distance. After all, sadhaka, you never know. You never know if sadhaka becomes a Vaishnava, then it will be a problem. No, problem for us if we criticize. It's good if he becomes a Vaishnava. Yes. So when sadhaka becomes a Vaishnava, it's good. But as of now in this situation, I don't want to associate with him. Who says this? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing this in one of his purport, where he makes it very clear that if you see the behavior of a sadhaka not proper, it's better to keep safe distance from that sadhaka. सोचिए हमारे आचार्यस कितने हाई लेवल तक जाते हैं. Yes, they give every detail saying that if you feel, then better don't associate. And it's a reason. There's a reason for this. You know why? If you associate with an unsaintly person, even unknowingly, you become offenders of bhakti. How's that? Unknowingly also, if you associate with some unsaintly people, it's an offense to bhakti. And there is a quote also given from Bhagavatam. 3:23-55. Please repeat. Sangoya samsmrater hetur asatsu vihito dhiya sa eva sadhushu krito nissangatvaya kalpate. Here it is said that association with those engaged in sense gratification, even out of ignorance, what happens? It becomes the cause of becoming stuck in the cycle of birth and death. And there is another thing also. Unknowingly, if you associate with a saintly person, what happens? It leads to liberation. So in this way, very beautifully, Bhaktivinoda Thakur elaborately discusses Vaiṣṇava Nindā which is just one of the 6 kinds of Vaishnava aparadha. Therefore, today, all of us should note very clearly that these 6 offenses to the Vaishnava we shouldn't do. First, we shouldn't kill a Vaishnava. All of us. Physically or with words also. We shouldn't kill any Vaishnava. After hearing this, it shouldn't happen that we don't consider anyone as Vaishnava. Ye Vaishnava. Gone case. No. For us, everyone is Vaishnava except me. And is there any fault in that? Except me, everyone is Vaishnava. Am I Vaishnava? I am a reflection of Vaishnava. Yes. Almost. Yes. So better I call myself as Sadhaka. I am not a devotee. I am a practicing devotee. I am a reflection of a Vaishnava. Or we can also say I am a Sadhaka in general. I am a Sadhaka. I am a Sadhaka, everyone else is Vaishnava. And when I see other Vaishnavas, and if I find some defects in them, if they fall in these categories, and if I feel that there is some auspiciousness that will take place either in my life or in that person's life or to the entire community, I'll go and report to my superiors. But if it's a false accusation, then it's a problem. Better, before I speak about a Vaishnava, I confirm. Ye sach hai ki nahi. And even if I have to speak about that person, whom should I speak to? My peers? Pata hai kya hua? And then you make a group and, oh, aisa hua? Oh, very nice. Even if you have to speak about the defect of Vaishnava to someone, that someone should be superior, who has some power to correct the situation. Not that you speak and that person goes and speak to someone and the next, and everyone is involved in Vaishnava aparadha together. So first is we shouldn't kill a Vaishnava. Second is we shouldn't criticize a Vaishnava, and that was today's topic. Third, we shouldn't hate a Vaishnava. Come on, Vaishnavas are a rare species. Aren't they rare species? You see, while preaching, how much difficult it is to help a person to chant few rounds. और उसमें कोई आता है and becomes a part of community. He starts chanting 16 rounds, follows 4 relative principles, and you start hating the person. Come on. If you start hating a Vaishnava, then what's the point? We are not supposed to hate anyone in the Vaishnava community. If you don't like, keep a safe distance. But why to hate from the heart? That's not correct. Yes. If you start hating someone, you'll speak against that person and there will be a Vaishnava. What's the point? Therefore, one shouldn't hate the Vaishnava. Fourth, when you see any Vaishnava, why don't you welcome with wholeheartedly? Hare Krishna bolne mein kya ja raha hai? Hare Krishna, welcome. What's so great? Kitna energy ja raha hai isme? And next is not becoming angry at a Vaishnava. Very difficult, no? Very difficult this one. But then finally we have to tolerate our anger and not become angry at Vaishnavas. I always tell all the brahmacharis that you're staying with full-time devotees, you never know when this sadhaka becomes a Vaishnava. So make sure you tolerate your anger. And same is the case with other devotees, who are staying outside the brahmachari ashram. Sometimes married people say, Prabhu, this is very difficult in married life. How are you saying I cannot become angry on my spouse and spouse cannot become angry on me? Sorry, but you have to practice this. There's no option. Okay, if you don't consider each other as Vaishnava, then that's a different case. But if you consider each other as Vaishnava, then you have to follow this. Then you cannot become angry. And also very important, when you see a Vaishnava, you should be very happy. He's a Vaishnava. He's a Vaishnava. He's in Vaishnava attire, tilak. He might be so dear to Krishna. And you feel very happy with him. And that's how you greet the person also happily. Therefore, when we avoid these 6 offenses to the Vaishnava, especially criticism, that is Vaiṣṇava Nindā, then that devotee will be able to advance in bhakti. And how that advancement will be? Because by this avoiding of Vaishnava aparadha, the devotee will be able to chant Shuddhanam. Then he can become Vaishnava. Then he can become better Vaishnava. And then he can become Uttama Vaishnava. And in the stage of Uttama Vaishnava, he can distribute Krishna Prem and deliver others. And this is the stage that all of us have to reach if you want to do some service to the society of the community of devotees and the world at large. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura ki Jai.